We are being joined by a good friend, Mr. Jorge Guerra, who is from Florida Realtors, broker owner at Real Estate Salesforce, also a proud RWorld member. Your wife, Dinora, is state president for WCR, and she's also residential president-elect for Miami Realtors. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I've been watching you guys for a while. I think it's a big honor to be here. And again, grateful for the invitation.
Awesome. Well, guys, we've got somebody who, as you just heard me announce, knows a few things about real estate, has really been in this volunteer space, taking care of local real estate associations and now our wonderful state association for quite some time. We're going to talk a lot about Proptech and AI this morning. Quick shout out to a friend of mine, Lisa, that wanted me to talk more to the camera. So, hey, Lisa, we're going to try that out for the first time here on episode 79. George, let's start out with Proptech.
Sure.
Is Proptech the future of real estate?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, experts say that the market size could reach around $68 billion by the end of 2024. So give us your thoughts and what should agents do to understand this emerging trend in Proptech?
So listen, first and foremost, it doesn't surprise me that there's $68 billion in Proptech. I think when you look at our industry and the amount of money that we generate, but more importantly, how much money we like to throw around at things that don't work.
Yes.
You know, we are the perfect industry for it. When it comes to Proptech, if you've had an eye on technology, which I'm sure we have to because we're in the positions that we're in,
yep,
we know a couple things. We know that maybe 1 out of 20 really hit the market and really do very well. First and foremost, what would I tell people about Proptech? That, you know what, this is one of these sectors that you have to keep an eye on because the next industry, game-changing technology is out there. The question is when, where, who, and at what time it comes out.
Right.
And I think as stewards of our industry, we have to keep an eye on that. And as brokers, we need to make sure that we're first to identify and first to bring into our company to make sure that we're able to compete sort of at that speed of now. But, you know, with that eye that you need to keep on new technology coming in or Proptech, at the very same time, you have to be very careful. You know, there's shiny new objects that pop up to our industry all the time. And the reality is that one thing really does work in our industry, and that's hard work and consistency. You know, a lot of these technologies help you with that consistency, with that outreach. But at the end of the day, this industry right now still falls on our shoulders.
Right. Yeah, we're going to get into some of that old way of doing things as well. But let's talk about this. You currently serve on the Florida. Yes,
I do. Now, check this out. When it comes to understanding the trends, you know, how do I keep an eye on that? I'll share with you three things. Number one, I'm always involved in training. So I'm always going to these events and being trained. Number two, okay, I follow the YPNs. You know, these young professional networks are at the speed of now. They're, watching these trends that are coming in, and they're the first ones to use it. And it's my job to observe and make sure that, hey, what are they doing? What's working? And how can I implement that into my business? And last but not least, you know, we have to keep an eye on that tech. So I'm always reading. I'm always on YouTube. I'm always looking at the latest tech and just seeing how, you know, technology can fit into my business.
Right,
just wanted to make sure I gave you a good little punch for that.
Nice. So for you guys that are listening, some of you may not understand, but when new technology is being presented, we go to all the conferences, the Florida Realtors Conference, NAR, NXT, we go to those places and we get demoed all of these products. We bring them back to the association, and we've got a task force that basically looks at these things. They try to break every single product as a beta tester in order to find out what the glitches are that are there, how it's going to fit into the real estate space, if it's something that's going to be valuable to our members. And if they can't break that system, and that system looks like it's going to hold a lot of value for our membership, that's when we end up bringing it up to the MLS Board of Directors and the association corporate board, take a look at what that technology looks like, and then we bring it to you, and you end up seeing that on the dash for your use because we've proven it time and time again that product is something that you are going to be able to use in your day-to-day business, and it's not something that we're just throwing out there and then it finds out that it's got all kinds of glitches in it, we can't use it, which is what George was saying. Maybe 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20 even makes it to the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've got a successful brokerage here in South Florida. You've done a great job equipping your agents over the years to embrace technology and embrace artificial intelligence. And that's one of the things about Real Estate Salesforce. You guys are heavy into tech. Can you share some ways that your agents are thriving using AI and sort of what are the biggest challenges that you're seeing right now?
So you know what? I think the biggest challenge is really the speed of innovation and how fast it's coming along. and, how you have to be on top of it to really understand and comprehend it and use it. So to me, that's the biggest challenge, being on it, watching the YouTube videos. We started with, ChatGPT, and now we're at chat agents. And, we see the growth and that evolution of what's going on. And for me, the biggest challenge is keeping up with the latest, at the speed of now.
So you just said keeping up with the latest. What is chat agents? I've never even heard of that before.
So ChatGPT creates chat agents, which now becomes a chat agent. You teach it, you create it. It's like a little pet ChatGPT you keep that helps you with your stuff. It's interesting, but it's almost, for people like us, the older we get, the harder it is to describe. If I bring you my 19-year-old, he'll be able to tell you exactly what it is.
Right.
But it's something that needs to be investigated moving forward.
Okay.
I can tell you this, that AI is used on a daily basis in my company. And sometimes my agents don't even know they're using it. Okay, so I'll give you a simple example. Siri on your phone.
Yep.
If you get the new update, it's AI. If you look at the new iPhone update on photos, okay, I don't know if you see it now, there's a button called cleanup where if I take a picture next to you and all of a sudden I don't like the way you look, I can put a circle on you and the AI will make you disappear and fill in the background for me.
Okay.
So think those are just simple things. And from a real estate perspective, it's like going into a house, taking a picture and seeing that they forgot the towel on the floor. Let me circle it and let me take it out.
You could do that on an iPhone now?
Yeah, you can do it on the iPhone now. Just right, brand new update.
Okay.
I can teach you after.
See, I'm already behind the times. What's going on here?
Not to mention, obviously the obvious ChatGPT. And for me, the very first thing we do with ChatGPT is I take a look at your bio and I say, hey, Chat, rewrite this, make this look, intriguing for an investor or for a home buyer.
Okay.
Second thing I use it for is for my remarks. I need to make sure.
Everybody should be doing that at this point.
I'm going to give you a tip. I'm going to give you a Jorge Guerra golden nugget. I get the remarks and I obviously have ChatGPT fix it up and sharpen it up for me. And then my next command is write it in Spanish. And I use that same translation for my Spanish version. Think here in South Florida, I have a strong Spanish-speaking demographics, and I want to make sure from a marketing perspective, I don't miss out on any of those potential buyers. I'll share with you two of them that I've been using lately and try to keep up with me because it's a little complicated.
Okay.
The first one that I've been using is called Perplexity AI.
Okay.
And Perplexity AI is like a ChatGPT, but that also incorporates live web searches into the actual analysis.
Okay.
So I did a request saying, who is Jorge Guerra, the broker? And then it gave, a little summary about Jorge Guerra. And then I asked, what makes Jorge Guerra special within the industry? And it started listing leadership, technology, innovation, and it just went off on some awesome things that I wasn't able to put together or see from an outside perspective. Then I got that text information and I put it into another program called Gamma AI. Have you heard of Gamma AI?
I have not.
Gamma AI, you paste it in there and you say, make a presentation for me on this information. And it literally went and redistributed my information, bullet points, graphs, timelines. Like it was on another level. My wife is stopped to impress. And when I showed it to her, she's like, wow, George, this will change the game. And literally, in order for me to research that information, put it together, write it together, and then put that into a presentation would take me
weeks.
Well, I'm pretty half a day to a day. And to be able to get an incredible rough draft in 2.5 minutes, I was blown away.
Wow.
Like talk about efficiency, game changer for me. So think that, your photo app, your Siri on your phone, ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, Gamma AI, and the photo app, that is what we're sort of using right now. And we're just in the cusp of this AI revolution.
Right.
We just got the internet yesterday and we're typing in, show me Labrador retrievers and wow, look at all these things. We are at that cusp. It's going to be, I was reading 2 articles recently in the Wall Street Journal. One of them was the new valuation of ChatGPT that it just became valuated at $168 billion.
Wow.
Huge.
That's incredible.
Second thing I read in the Wall Street Journal was the CEO of SoftBank saying, hey, in 3 years, artificial intelligence will be as smart as a human. So could you imagine having, something in a box that is as smart as you, that you can say, hey, you know what, do me a favor, look through my contact list, tell me who I should follow up with, and do me a favor, send them a text message and send them an email, and this person doesn't get tired, doesn't get mad at you, doesn't give you attitude, and it works 24 hours a day. That is going to be a game changer for productivity.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, to have an assistant that gives you no attitude.
No attitude. does what you wanted to do. It's probably smarter than you and more efficient with you. You know, I think that's going to be a game changer for all industries, specifically real estate.
Yeah, and AI is supposed to take off like they say the graph is going to look like a hockey stick, and we haven't even hit that curve yet that it's going to start going up. But once it does, game over. It's just going to skyrocket from there.
Absolutely.
So you're currently serving on the Florida Realtors leadership team.
Damn.
So I've got a couple of curiosities here. Are you all investing in the Proptech space at the state level right now?
So you know what? Great question. And I don't know if you even know this, but for the last 100 years, Florida Realtors has been innovating. You know, we've been a strong tech solution for our members, for our businesses, and for our success. Recently, and I'll share you a story. I don't know if you know this story. Don't quote me on the name or the dates or the person, but back in Kathy Watley's year.
Okay.
Florida Realtors.
Hi, Kathy, if you're watching.
Florida Realtors put together a website called One Realtor Place. I don't know if you know the story.
No.
But they went and they flipped this website to NAR for around $300,000 to $400,000, and they gave NAR their first website. NAR took one out and took home out and just left realtor only. And we were the first ones that bought that domain name, put it together, and sold it to them. So I think that was super innovating back in that time.
That is innovative back then.
You see form simplicity.
Yep.
You know, and the way that we've been able to use that from a state perspective, but more importantly, sell that to other states. So we've dabbled, but more importantly, now we're really going head first. You know,
and we provide tech hotline for a bunch of other state associations,
tech
right?
Legal hotline. But more importantly, this leadership team is razor focused on innovation. You know, we are starting an innovation fund. You know, we are going to start looking at new softwares, new technologies, new opportunities, and really bring them into the space. You know, we're looking for these type of tools that keep the realtor in the center of the transaction. But more importantly, we're really looking to mimic a little bit of what the National Association of Realtors has done. And if you look,
like the Reach Fund business.
Listen, if you look at what they've done, I want to say in 2009 they created Second Century Ventures, and Second Century Ventures was designed, you know, to identify technology that were transforming the real estate space. And if you look at their history, they've done a great job from a national perspective. I want to say in 2013 they created the Reach program, which is a hands-on, you know, growth program used to accelerate real estate technology into the real estate space.
Right.
And they've been ultra successful doing that. There's no reason why Florida, as the largest state association in the nation, isn't doing that in a similar position. And you know what? We have a lot of technology that comes from Florida. We have, as a matter of fact, I say this in our meeting, you know, Florida right now is the most competitive real estate market in the history of the world. We have the best practitioners. We have the best tech coming into our industry. Who better to keep an eye on that tech and help steward that tech into, you know, our ecosystem, right, than Florida Realtors.
And in Broward County, I've heard it many times called the Silicon Valley of the East. There's so many tech companies down here in South Florida, and not even just Broward. You talk about Miami, you talk about Palm Beach. There's tech companies all over the place, and major hubs for tech companies, like South American tech companies, call South Florida their home.
Listen, we need to make sure that we put them under our umbrella. And, you know, we've seen this, you know, over the last 25 years, we've seen a huge technology boom. But I want to say recently, we've seen the speed of that boom at a much faster rate. And I think the question is, are we as an industry going to sit back and watch other people and other companies come, innovate, deploy technology, and simply use our industry as a customer base or a profit source? Or are we going to make sure that we have a say in it, that we're involved, that we're sharing profits, and that we're helping them accelerate? And I think the latter is the one that's going to guarantee us in the center of the transaction moving forward.
I love it. I love the vision that you guys have. They're doing an incredible job up at the state level. And we're trying to mimic those things here at home as well, constantly trying out all the tech that's available.
I think we all have to work together. I think you guys are like the canary in the coal mine. You guys get to see the tech at the local level first. It's your job to let us know, hey, this works here.
Right.
Invest on the way up. Let's make this something permanent. You know, I think that partnership, I think, is going to be key if you're going to have a successful innovation fund in the future.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier. You touched on it. We've talked a lot about tech. We've talked a lot about AI. Let's talk about old school ways of doing business. So let's talk about just something a little bit different.
Talk dirty to me.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So you're tech savvy. I'm going to rattle off some traditional ways of marketing, and I want you to share a way that agents can maybe replace that conventional way with more tech-based options, or if we don't have a solution that's tech-based and we should just keep on doing things the old way. So let's talk about mailers.
So you know what? There's very little that I'm going to say that I don't want in there. I think that moving forward, real estate is a mix of old school and new school. The question is, how cool can you make it, and how can that impact your clientele?
Okay.
So check this out. When it comes to mailers, they still work. If you look at our luxury players, they still remain consistent with it, and that says something. The question is, how can you add technology to that space? And I'll share with you this. Obviously, leveraging the QR code. I sent a mailer with. So I'll share with you this.
QR codes had a really long road to actually taking off. Nobody knew what to do with them. They didn't know how to use them. You'd send it to somebody and they'd see the QR code, but had no idea that you could just scan it with your phone camera. They thought that you had to have a special program for it. But now it seems like they're everywhere and everybody knows how to use it finally.
Since COVID, we went 0 to 60. When we didn't have menus.
You had to use it for menus, yeah.
You got it. You got it. But you know what? I think that's very powerful because now we get to leverage that technology on different spaces.
Right.
So for me, I'll share with you this. I have a retail spot where I have my office in downtown Dayland. So I have a whole entire building on top of me. So obviously it's my duty to farm that building. So one of the things that I do is I send a mailer, and in that mailer, I send something in the front and then I break down what's going on in their community in the back. But in the front, I have a QR code. And what I do is I have a video message every single mailer. Hey, this is George coming to you from the bottom of downtown Dayland, come inside. And it's a call to action, it's a message. But it allows me to put video on a flyer, which for me, it's a nice little step and it's a nice little opportunity. I'll share with you something that I've been dabbling with for a very long, for maybe 24 months. That is, I think it's very early technology that hasn't hit, but I think that has a great potential, maybe 5 to 6 years down the line. And that's augmented reality. That's when you scan a QR code and that print comes alive.
Right.
So you can put an ad in the Herald or in the newspaper, scan it, and watch the house be built on the newspaper and be able to click on different things.
Right from your phone screen, just watching everything happen.
Right from your phone screen. If you take a look at my Instagram, you'll see my business card. I have an AI business card. So to me, I think that's one of the great opportunities that is still early on, maybe for my kids' generation, but I am keeping an eye on it. Now, when it comes to the mailers, let's tap on AI for a second.
Sure.
I'm probably going to, moving forward, tell AI, hey, listen, I'm farming this building. Write for me a mail campaign that's going to best penetrate my audience compared to just relying on my old traditional storytelling mail campaigns. It'd be interesting to see what AI has to say about my campaign and maybe even testing an AI campaign to see how that does in my market. So QR code and maybe an AI, audit on my marketing.
I love that. And, we had quite a few episodes ago, we had Carrie Jo Little from Chicago.
Nice.
Was down here. And that was our first chat, I think, that we've had about artificial intelligence on this podcast. And one of the things that she had said that she does is she takes out the market reports, market statistics. Not everybody can understand or articulate what those statistics actually mean. So she was taking the numbers that she was receiving from the association that says, this is what the sales look like, this is a percentage that we're up, down, whatever the case may be, and take that data, plug that into ChatGPT or one of the artificial intelligence programs and say, take this data and explain it to a consumer at a 5th grade level. Now you could take that information and put that on your mailer. Or, like you just said, using a QR code, why not have a QR code on a mailer that opens up to a video of you explaining what's happening in the market with the information that ChatGPT or one of those programs just crunched all that market data for you and explained it in a way that it's going to make sense to somebody who's not in this business?
Well, listen, I think this, as realtors, we understand the power of a mailer. The question is, can we make it a powerful mailer? And I think that's,
I like that.
That's injecting that technology. And more importantly, imagine sitting down at a listing presentation and saying, hey, I just don't do a traditional flyer. I have text sprinkled through my flyer. Let me show you. Do me a favor. Use your phone. Scan this. I think, that's a powerful sell.
Wow. Okay. Next up, open houses.
Open houses. I think we know from studies that open houses don't traditionally sell houses. I think they're a great buyer's lead magnet. But if I were to implement tech, I would tell you that from a social media perspective, there's nothing more powerful than demonstrating to your audience that you have a listing, that you're in the listing, that you're doing an open house. And for me, the most powerful open house is when somebody goes live on social media and says, hey, this is George coming to you live from my open house. Let me walk you through a tour. I think that is uber powerful.
Okay.
So I think that I'm going to harp on the QR code again as well. I think a very good opportunity to be green within your business is to lessen the print burden you put on your listings and saying, hey guys, whoever comes to my open house, scan the QR code and you're going to get the full paperwork, presentation, map, videos, download it to a Dropbox. So looking at it from that perspective, I think there's good opportunities to leverage that style of technology.
Awesome. Okay. Let's talk about email marketing.
Nobody reads those. I'm just kidding.
We, as association people, we know that nobody's reading half the emails that we send out. But no, how can we use AI?
Listen, I always tell people, if you don't want to get a hold of me, email me. So you know what? I think email marketing, again, I'm going to go back to leveraging video. And not only video, but if you want to look a little bit deeper into technology, 360 video.
Okay.
Right now, we have the technology to walk around with a camera and allow the consumer to move the screen or allow the consumer to put on a VR headset and actually feel like they're walking the house with you. And the technology is not only there, but the ability for someone without great amount of training to put that, download it into a computer is also there as well. It requires a little bit of a learning curve, but I think very powerful. So for me, if I have an email, besides text, I want to be able to really wow my audience. So I want a video, I want to maybe a QR code, maybe a 360 video, but I'm going to attach some sort of technology with it.
Right. Over a decade ago, I was interviewing with brokers before I opened up my own company. Just had moved down here to South Florida, and I sat with a broker, had an interview afterwards, and this is over a decade ago. That broker had sent me a video email, and I got back home, and I opened that thing up. He made that choice so hard for me, because I had never seen a video email before. It was the coolest thing. It was a personal message to me saying, thank you so much for your time today. And it really sat with me like pretty deep that he took the time to do that extra follow-up. It wasn't just a quick phone call. This was, video there for me to,
let me tell you,
at my own time.
The video has a psychological effect, because if you would have texted you, thank you, you wouldn't have seen his eyes, his smile, his passion, his emotion, and that buys real estate in your brain.
Yep. So, you could use BombBomb now or a million other things that you could just drop a video into an email and send it out, or a text message to someone. Yeah. It's effective. It was very effective.
And I'm going to drop again the AI audit to your email campaign. How about going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, do me a favor, check out my email campaign. How can I improve it? Or if you were to email this audience with this message, how would you put it together, and what schedule? How often would you send the message?
Right. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Last one for you.
Go for it.
Cold calling.
Oof.
Every realtor's favorite task.
I would say this is like the diet of real estate. Nobody likes to do it, but you have to do it.
You have to.
So you know what? If you've been dabbling into the AI space and researching, you know that there's already companies out there that are having AIs make the phone call for you. I don't think that technology is there where it needs to be.
Sure.
But I do think that it's right there. I think cold calling isn't going to go away. Now, what I would do is I would definitely have AI check out our scripts, because if you've been in the industry long enough, you know that our scripts are from the 1950s, and very rarely have they changed. They've been copied, they've been massaged over. Right. But it would be cool to get an AI version of cold calls. Hey, you know what? I'm going after duplexes in this area. What would be the best script in order to open a conversation about possibly selling their investment properties, and just seeing what ChatGPT does. What I do know is that when it comes to cold calling, a lot of these scripts are just confidence boosters to get on the phone and make the call.
Sure.
So for me, I'll give you a real life example, another Jorge Guerra gem for you.
Golden Nugget.
So it goes back to, farming my building where my retail office is at. So one of the things that I did do is I went into IMAP, and I told IMAP, give me all the tax data of everybody that lives in these two buildings. And it gives you when they bought, how much they owe on their mortgage, is it homestead, is it not? So it gives me all sort of the inside information that I know to really specifically attack my audience. And what I did is I exported that into an Excel sheet, and I uploaded it into ChatGPT. And I said, ChatGPT, do me a favor, analyze this Excel sheet. I am a real estate broker, and I'm looking to identify those who are most probably going to sell. If you could create an order for me on who to hit first and what to say. And sure enough, it analyzed it, And it even told me what to say to those that just recently bought, which I thought it was super smart of it.
Okay.
And it really broke it down. So so you know what? Cold calling in the blind is fun, but now we have artificial intelligence that can really dig into that data and really point you in the right direction. And that's just the start of this type of research.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, if you're not getting a wealth of information and good ideas today, I don't know what you've been doing. But George, I watched your TEDx presentation at Columbus High School.
Wow, you're the only one. I love it. Thank you.
Everybody's saying that. So as a Cuban American, you mentioned being grateful for the opportunity to redefine and shape your family's future and serve your clients. So how do we in the real estate industry remain grounded and focused on our clients and other people as well?
Oh, great question. And it was a huge honor to do a TED Talk in my high school.
That must have felt so cool.
You know what it was? If you would have seen my grades, you would have seen. So I'm not even go there. But
you were coming back to say, I gotcha.
It was fun. You know what? I was more grateful that, hey, whatever you did, even though I wasn't a superstar when I was here, some of the stuff is still stuck with us.
Right.
But the cool part about it is that they asked me to do a TED Talk, and a TED Talk's very intimidating. You have to find something that is transformational, moves the world, and I'm just a real estate broker. And it allowed me to take a moment and look back and think of my life and where I came from. And what I noticed was that I was sort of on a roller coaster in the front, riding the ride, but never looking back to see how I got to where I got. And I wanted to talk about the power of homeownership. And when I was breaking that down, it brought me back in time. And it brought me back to when I was born and remembering, my parents making it a priority to buy a house and how special it was to buy a house.
Right.
And how their dream, I say in my TED Talk that, my parents found freedom in home ownership because they were able to do what they wanted. More importantly, they were able to create, when they bought and they got a mortgage, that payment didn't rise. So as, they made more money, as property values went up, their payment was the same. And that allowed them, Chris, to afford the best schools that money could afford that they could afford. It allowed them to get me braces. It allowed me, to have tutors. It really gave me an advantage because they stabilized, their cost of living. And as they made more money and they invested more, they were able to really distribute that into things that were really important, helping an immigrant family get ahead in a very competitive market. So it really opened up my eyes as I looked further and I saw the effect that it had on school, on communities, on just many different aspects. The power of homeownership is powerful. So, what would I tell, my fellow audience? That what we do is much more than a commission. We make a huge impact, on society. And commission can be a driver, but if you move your driver to change and the change that it creates, it's a much easier grind to do. It's a much easier job to work at. And real estate, I love to tell people, it's like a triathlon. It's not easy.
Oh, this is not an easy
Listen, it's not easy. You have to bike, you have to run, you have to swim, and
you're for the faint of heart.
You're uncomfortable all the time, but you have to find your passion and you have to find that love and that why. And for me, looking back, of what it did to me, and more importantly, being in the industry and see what subconsciously, without me knowing, I've been able to do for other people, I think opens my eyes and helps me re-fall in love with my industry that's always changing and dynamic and tough, but it reminds me of my why. And that's what I would remind other people that, hey, look at the big picture, look at the difference that you make. And Chris, it's not even about home ownership. It's after home ownership, creating an investment portfolio. It's about, creating wealth. It's about changing the dynamic and the trajectory of somebody's life. It's a game changer.
And you heard him start off by saying, but I'm just a real estate broker. But then you give an explanation like that, you're so much more.
Yeah.
This whole industry is so much more than just realtors, real estate brokers. I mean, we're really affecting change in community. We're helping people create that generational wealth, introducing them to what it's like to be a homeowner and be able to build that wealth.
We're the tip of the spear when it comes to all that.
Absolutely.
Amen.
So one thing I have to do is commend our members here in South Florida. They're resilient. You just said it. Hardworking. Continue to help others achieve the dream of American home ownership. So what would you say to inspire our members to keep staying the course? Because we have not had an easy market over the course of the last 6, 8, 9 months. Has not been easy.
Chris, anytime you can get a license for $600 and make millions in commission, think that it becomes the most competitive industry to be a part of. Now,
You're not just getting your license for $600 and making millions.
No.
You're gonna bust your butt in order to make that money.
Oh no, listen. Well, what I'm trying to say is that there's an easy barrier of entry, but the competition because of the yield,
the income is limitless.
It is. So think that the best practitioners tend to come in here. Yep. So what advice would I give? People that are coming into our industry that are in our industry. Number one is to train. Learn before you earn. Don't fake it until you make it. South Florida has that fake it till you make it. No, learn it before you earn it.
They will find you.
Number two, I think find yourself a great broker. I think that a broker will never determine whether you're successful or not. That's in between you and your work ethic. But I think a broker will change the trajectory of how fast you become successful. So make sure you have somebody, who knows what they're doing, who has a passion for leading and teaching. And I think last but not least, find the enjoyment in this industry. Don't focus on the commission. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
So just prepare yourself for the long run. But if you do make it, you will have a life that you never imagined, that you never thought of.
And if you're getting into this industry because you want to be able to set your own hours and work a few days a week, this is not the place for you. I'm sorry. You don't belong here. Oh, man. Yeah, we work, 60, 80 hours a week if we're lucky?
So you know what? I tell everyone, my agents, I say, you can call me Monday through Sunday. That's the life that I chose.
Right, exactly. So, okay, last question for you. I'm going to let you get out of here and get back to work.
Go for it.
I like to ask this question of all of our guests. So, South Florida has many hidden gems. You've lived here for a very long time. Whether it's a restaurant, beach, hotel, anything worth checking out, what is your hidden gem to share with these viewers?
All right, so my hidden gem is actually 5 blocks from my house, and that's why I'm using it. And it's the Biltmore Hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the
beautiful property.
The Biltmore Hotel, I love it for me because it's walking distance. So I love to get my wife and my kids and walk to the Biltmore Hotel. It's got tennis courts. It's got a beautiful golf course. It has an awesome, easy restaurant to go into called the 19th Hole. And you walk in there without any reservations. It's got 2 high-end restaurants. So if you want to get fancy and dancy, you can definitely go there.
Okay.
It was built in the 1900s, early 1900s. So it's a beautiful structure. So for me, visually, when you're driving there, it has the palm trees. It's beautiful. It's a gem. And I think it has the second largest pool in the state of Florida.
Wow.
So if you want to go in there, just rent a cabana and hang out, you can almost disappear in that pool.
Okay.
With all the gyms out there, that's probably the closest one and the one that I know the best.
Okay. Are you a golfer?
I'm a charity golfer. So if there's a charity tournament and you need someone to have some fun with and smoke a cigar and maybe have a drink with, I am your guy. But if you want to win, don't pick me.
Well, I think we've got a charity golf tournament happening up in Palm Beach Gardens in maybe it was October 23rd. So check it out if you guys are golfers. And if not, then go and hang out at a cabana at the Biltmore Hotel. You might see Mr. Jorge Guerra. You could chat with him about Proptech and AI.
Definitely.
Sir, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate you, and we will see you guys right back here. Yes, sir.
I want to thank you again for the invitation, but
no problem.
But more importantly, what you guys do for the industry. I think this information, at the speed of now, keeps your members where they need to be. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for what you're doing, and I look forward to the next episode.
Okay, well, thank you, and we'll see you guys right back here next time on RWorld Talk.